Okay, we are starting this vlog on a really nice spring day. I wanted to show you outside how nice it looked, how springy it looked compared to like the snow we had the last few days, because we have like 15 degrees difference, which is quite a bit. But yeah, there were so many people outside using the good weather that, I don't want to film any people, so I couldn't give you any footage of that, sadly. But yeah, I wanted to start this vlog with a reading update. I have two updates. Update number one is that I finished Demon Lord of Karanda over the weekend, which is the third book of the Malorian series. I loved it. It's a 5-star read. I really liked all of the... We had kind of a little bit of like different burning points. Can you say that in English? In German you can say Brennpunkt, which I would translate at like burning point. So yeah, we had like little problems here and there in the group due to different circumstances. We also had a plague in the end, which I thought was really cool. This is something we didn't have yet, and I mean, this is obviously a really like medieval inspired fantasy, so we kind of were due a plague. And yeah, there were some demons in here. And that all came together in the end. Yeah, I loved it. 5 stars, hands down. This series is just amazing. I could gush about it each and every day that I'm reading it, and I'm already looking forward to the next one, though I have decided to like read that at the end of next month at kind of like a celebration for reading all of the other books, if you want to look at it that way. I know that I will love it, so it's always good to keep it a little bit for later in the month. If I had a lot of disappointing books, I can feel then better about at least one book I'm reading. And then I did start the next book, which is These Hollow Vows. I'm already not loving it. It at the moment it feels like a retelling of Cinderella combined with Fae. We have our main character who lives with her sister together at her aunt's because her mom left them there, and when the uncle of them died, the aunt put them in the cellar and they have to clean for their cousins, and the cousins are always like screaming, make me dresses, clean this, clean that. Pretty Cinderella-ish, I would say. But then we also have the Fae involved, and our main character has a little bit of magic, and she is stealing to get by because their aunt kind of has them in service. You kind of can sell yourself, and then you have this weird contracts that kind of have also something to do with your soul. It's a weird thing. And so our main character and her sister, they have like a pretty shitty life because of that. And yeah, we were now at the point where like the sister's like, oh, one of like the fake queens opens a court, and we could go there and maybe find a resolution to our situation here, and maybe get money or like get the favor of a fae, and maybe help out this way. But they are like, oh, it's really like dangerous, pretty much. And so yeah, that is the point where I'm at. I have not yet read a story with Fae that I liked, and I haven't ever made it through a story with Fae. I personally don't really like the concept of Fae. I think it's a weird concept, to be totally honest. Also, this is a YA. I'm personally not a big fan of YA anymore. Like as a teenager I was. Now they feel pretty cringy, to be honest, at least to me. Like, I don't want to talk bad about the book. I haven't even read that much yet, but I personally feel like YA is not what I enjoy to read anymore. But obviously I have all of these YA books on my TBR, so I'm at least trying to read them. So we'll see. I'm at page 30. I'm not really far in, but I finished this one today and then I started this one, so we'll see where this will go. I will give it a good try. But yeah, it just screams YA at you. I really wish there would be a YA that is just like YA, but it doesn't scream YA at you. I feel like that is something that I would actually enjoy reading. But yeah, I haven't found that yet. But yeah, so we will continue with this one. I'm done with this one, and I already filmed my TBR video for March. So once March turns around, we have a full new reading list with like a lot of fantasy, so I'm excited for quite a few books on that one. So that is what I'm doing right now. And then I technically wanted to check in once I'm done with it, but it takes longer than I thought. But I can show you my progress. I am really nearly finished with my Mordor cross-stitch piece, and as you can see, I'm doing the Visit Mordor down here, and once I have these all filled out, I'm done. And oh my god, I love it so much. I'm not somebody who can like draw anything, so being able to be creative in this way and like create pictures pretty much just with like thread and needle and a bit of fabric is just amazing. I love it so much. And I'm also actually kind of happy with my backside. Like, it really doesn't look bad, and this is the first really bigger piece that I ever did, and I think my third one that I finished at all. So yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I will try to finish this now. I'm really trying to finish it today, but we'll see. But yeah, that is what I will be doing. I do have to do a little bit of housework still, I think. But yeah, that is pretty much the rest of my evening. I will check in again once I finished it so I can show you the finished version. And yeah, let's go back to cross-stitching because I'm really loving it at the moment. And yeah, it's given me a lot of peace, to be honest. Okay, it's the next day. I have some reading updates. I decided to DNF this. We have already the implications of the love triangle. I absolutely hate it. Her sister gets kidnapped. Not really kidnapped, she gets sold by her aunt to a Fae king. And the only thing their mage friend has to say, like, oh, don't get too nice with the Fae king, otherwise you will like him. Like, what the fuck? What kind of a friend would say that to you, you know? Your sister gets sold and he's like, oh, but don't fall in love with the Fae king. I hate it. I'm really, really sorry. I cannot stand it, so I am DNFing this. There's no way I can get through this book. I'm sorry, not sorry, I think is the right word for it. But yeah, I can't deal with that. Also, the two kissed, like the mage friend and our main character, they already kissed. She's in love with him, but obviously we all know that there will be a Fae prince or king or whatever out there. I can't stand it. It's just not what I want to read. So instead, I picked up one of the books I put on my TBR for next month, which is Subterranean. This is a science thriller, I would say, where they are going to the Arctic? They go in a volcano where they found like a cave system. Yeah, and there were a team before our team which they don't know about, and they vanished. And now our team is sent in. And yeah, we'll see what will happen. It seems to be like some hint of a civilization that was like earlier than everything else they found so far on Earth and stuff like that. It is really interesting. I like it so far. I'm 50 pages in, and we are getting to know our characters. We have the typical cocky guy, and then we have 2 female scientists and 2 male guys. One is a cave person, like who goes cave diving and stuff like that, and then the other one is a geologist. And our main character, who is a paleontologist and an archaeologist, she has a son with her, so I think that might also play a role at some point, who is 11 because she couldn't leave him at home, and they were fine with her taking him with her. So yeah, they are still on the road into the base, and from there we'll see what will happen, but it is really interesting. It's by James Orleans. I'm enjoying it. So this is a far better choice than these Hollow Vows, I think is the other one called. But yeah, so I will continue with this one. And then another exciting thing, I finished my cross stitch, and this is how it looks. I absolutely love it. I need to, I think, wash and iron it is the next step, and then I need to get a frame so I can frame it and put it on my wall because I absolutely love it. And that means I can start my first Thread Geek cross-stitch kit now, and that is what I will be doing. And maybe a little bit of gaming, I don't know yet. And yeah, that is kind of the plan for the rest of the day. And yeah, we'll see how much reading I will still get in today. I don't know how much. I have a pretty busy day. You can hear the oven in the background because I am making dog treats right now. And, you know, I have quite a few things I need to do still today. So we'll see if I can get any more reading in. But if not, I have 50 pages read, which I'm happy with. So I'll see you tomorrow and we'll see how the story continues. Okay, we have some really exciting reading updates. I am I think halfway through Subterranean now, and I am really enjoying it. This is actually a really enjoyable adventure novel, and we have now met some creatures, I'm gonna say, a civilization of creatures kind of, that lives in the cave system underneath the Antarctic, and it has gotten really scary for our characters, and yeah, there has been some death. And our group has split up now, and half of it are going deeper into the system, half of it are trying to get out of the system because of circumstances. I think what is really interesting is that I feel like this book doesn't really have likable characters, but I don't mind. I think this is actually one of the few books where I don't mind that I don't really enjoy the characters. I'm fine with them. They are just annoying to me personally, which, you know, happens. You can't like every character, but I really don't mind it in the book because of the action and the adventure we're actually having. I feel like the characters are kind of fitting. They bring a little bit more drama into the story, but also a little bit more action because of their behavior, and I really like it actually. So yeah, I'm actually a lot more excited for the book than I thought I would be, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would be. So this seems to be like a really, really good start to my TBR for March, even though I will probably finish it in February because my plan is to finish this one tomorrow. Because I'm really excited about it and I want to know the ending. I have my thoughts because we already know who's the bad guy of our group, which is really interesting that we pretty much learned that pretty early on. Because of we got the point of view from every character, and one of the characters is really shady pretty much, and he rigs some explosives to the elevator that makes the group able to leave the cavern. It's the elevator to the surface pretty much, and he rigged some explosives to that for probably later on, I don't really know. But yeah, so we know that he at least is a bad character, but for the rest they all seem more or less neutral characters. So yeah, I'm really excited to continue with that one. I will continue today a little bit more, and then I will probably finish it tomorrow, which is the plan as of right now. And then I got a new book, and this is the sci-fi book in the Illumi Crate Starbright box. I think it's called Starbright. I don't know. I put the package away. But yeah, then there was Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. I don't know. I am really, really sorry how to pronounce this. I hope I didn't butcher it too badly. I think she has African roots, or is from Africa. I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't read anything from her. Well, she lives in Phoenix, Arizona, but she obviously has African roots. And she seems to be a pioneering author of the genres of African futurism and African Judaism, which I have never heard of. To be honest, I didn't know that futurism as a theme was split up in countries particularly, but you know, it is what it is. You learn something new every day. And yeah, this is a sci-fi book, it seems, about a book in a book, which it sounds kind of interesting. First of all, we have a disabled main character, which I think is really, really nice and interesting because we do get that way too little. I think it's always a little bit funny that all of our characters in books seem to be these really healthy people, which, you know, for a lot of action, it kind of makes sense. But then again, you know, everybody wants a little bit of representation. I mean, it wouldn't be fun for characters to have my problems, like he would be on the toilet all the time. So that wouldn't be fun in a book, but you know, I like that our main character is actually in a wheelchair. And she is an author, and she got laid off of her job, and her newest book kind of flopped. And so she doesn't really know what to do with her life, and her family really pressures her into, like, you know, it's a really high pressure family, I would say, who like think everybody should have like a really high paying job and stuff like that. And so the main character goes out there and is like, okay, I'm gonna write a book like nothing else I've ever written. I think it's a sci-fi book. And then the blurb alluded to the book and real life kind of melting together and something happening with that. And that is as much as I know of this book. What I really, really love. We have this dust jacket, which, you know, Death of the Author. I do think that is the title of the book. And then if you take the dust jacket off, we actually have the cover, I think, of the book she's writing in the book. So that is called Rusted Robots. I'm not going to pronounce that name. I'm really, really sorry, but I have no idea how. I mean, Zelu is probably the first name, but then the two last names, I'm sorry, I would just butcher them. And yeah, then we have Death of the Author on here as well, so you can find it in your bookshelf. So yeah, this is actually the cover of the book in the book. And to be honest, I do love me a good book in the book. I loved, what's its name? The one with the stars. I forgot the name. I'm gonna put it here. The Beast and the Stars, the book. I really loved that. I'm having a hard time keeping track of my book titles. But yeah, so that is really interesting. Okay, sorry, I got a package which I had to get from the door. I got my syrup for my coffee, and yeah, I had to get that really quick. But yeah, I'm really excited to start this one as soon as I finish this one. So if I manage to read quite a bit more of this today, I might be able to start with this one tomorrow once I finish this. So that is kind of what I'm planning right now, because this sounds really interesting. And I'm really excited to see how the books in that box are, because obviously, you know, they are a little bit more expensive than if I would get the book normally. So yeah, I love that I can discover new authors, because I have never read something by her. And if I like the book, then I might have a lot more books that I can get. So yeah, they do, for me, they make sense, the boxes, because I just can't keep up with everything that gets released. But they are obviously a little bit more expensive, so hopefully I will love it. And then the book box is gonna be really nice. So yeah, also I have to say, I really love the art on the end pages. Like, it's just the color palette that is used looks so nice. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. So those are the plans. I will see you tomorrow. We'll see how the ending of Subterranean is, and then we'll start the other one, and we can see together what that book is about and how it fares as a sci-fi book. Because it is supposed to be a sci-fi book, so, and with book boxes, I need to keep track if the books are in the right genre, because I feel like with fantasy, they always sneak their romantasy in there, and I really hate that. So we'll see if it is actually sci-fi, which is the important part. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow with an exciting update. I'm really looking forward to. Okay, I'm really sorry that you're getting just updates from this corner of my living room at the moment, but yeah, my room downstairs is chaos, and this just works out better, to be honest. I have two reading updates. First of all, I finished Subterranean. I gave it 4 stars. I did really like it. I like what happened in the second half of the book. I think there was a really, really good story. I do think James Lawrence has his flaws. There's a lot of like sexism in the books. For some reason, our main character, who is like this really decorated scientist, like gets pretty often reduced to her body, and all of the men are kind of like, you know, kind of focused on the women's bodies. But I could ignore that for the story. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't love any of the characters, but I did end up liking our main character and the guy that has kind of, you know, an eye for her body. I did end up liking those two. I think those two were actually kind of good characters, and I liked how the ending played out for them, like what they do in the end, which I'm not going to spoil you because that would make this book not worth reading for you. But it is a cool ending. I like the concept of the ending because it has something to do with like, you know, another civilization. But I like that they perceive the humans as a threat and as a problem, but it turns out that is not everything as it seems, and that the humans might be able to help. And I really like that because it kind of differentiates from what you often see in these novels, where like humanity is then like a really, really bad factor for the other civilization, stuff like that. So I did really, really like that. So yeah, 4 stars. I'm positively surprised, which is really nice. And then I did also today start to read Death of the Author, and I don't want to harp on it too much because I'm not that far into it. I am 45 pages in, and the book has roughly 400 pages, so I'm not that far in. But I am a little bit afraid that the book is far more of a contemporary than a sci-fi novel, because the book starts heavily focused on our main character's real life, and then we are also starting to get pages from her novel, but we also get interviews from her family. She does seem to be a slightly unlikable character, which I feel like it's complicated because she has some points where I'm like, yeah, you're right, because people do treat her differently because of her disability, and especially her cultural background makes it kind of complicated with her disability and being a paraplegic. So I do get that, but I feel like she is, at least in my personal opinion, a pretty rude character. I don't think I would like her if I met her in real life. Let's just say it like that. We are pretty different characters. And I'm kind of interested how it plays out throughout the book. But the interviews we get from the family of hers, they are not all negative, but they are trying to portray like this really like like realistic picture of her. And we start with like pretty like where she's portrayed as like a pretty not so likable person, I would say. And it's just the problem that I don't personally enjoy unlikable characters. I think that is a problem. And then that we have gotten really little sci-fi because the book itself, like the current times, and not the book plays out in like current times. I mean, we didn't get a year, but you know, it sounds like just current times. So the main overarching story isn't sci-fi, it's contemporary. And then I think the only aspect that is actually sci-fi seems to be the book that she's writing. And I'm a little bit afraid that it might not be enough sci-fi for me, and that I maybe might not classify this as sci-fi. That could change the further we get into the book, which is why I'm not rating this as like a positive or a negative right now. Right now it's a neutral for me. But it could go either way, and if it goes into like more contemporary and really pretty little sci-fi, that would be something that I would be slightly disappointed in, just because this came in a sci-fi box. So yeah, we'll have to see where this is going. But other than that, I do enjoy the contemporary narration as much as I can enjoy contemporary narration. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I do think it's really interesting to get to know her culture and her struggles with like being unemployed, having to move back in with her parents because she struggles to pay for things, and her feeling like she gets like negative stuff from all over just because she is disabled, and coupled with her personality that isn't the nice personality, there's a lot of conflict potential there. So that is really interesting, to be totally honest. I just am afraid that it might not be as sci-fi as I would want it to be personally, but we'll see. We will see. I will continue tomorrow. I do plan on reading like 100 pages tomorrow, so then that would, you know, put me like not in the middle, but like a good way in, so that I might be able to get like a good overview of the book. So that this far in, I'm planning on reading tomorrow. I think it's like a little bit over a third of the way. So that would give me a good view into where we are going with the story, I feel like. So that is the plan for tomorrow. Other than that, I'm doing a little bit of gaming. I've gone back to play the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Dark Souls in parallel, because that's what I'm in the mood for. And I did also start my new cross-stitch, which is the Shire kit, and this is how it's looking so far, which is not even 1% of the whole piece. It is a pretty big piece. But yeah, this is the beginning of a tree, even though it doesn't kind of look like it. But, I'm not far into it right now, so that is what I'm also working on. But I'm taking it slow with that one. I did some math, and if I would stitch a little bit under 300 stitches each day, I would be finished in a year with the piece. I am not stitching 300 stitches a day, so it will take me probably a little bit over a year to stitch it, though I might get more done when I have, days off of work and stuff like that. But yeah, that will be a really, really long project, which I am really excited for. So yeah, that is kind of an update of what is going on. I will leave you alone now, and then we'll see how the death of the author is continuing. I'm really hopeful that we will lean more into the sci-fi. That is what I'm hoping for, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's have a chat about death of the author. This is not the book for me, in my personal opinion, at least up to the point that I am at now, which is a third of the way through. This book is not a sci-fi book. I personally feel like it's much more of a contemporary novel. It might transition into sci-fi later on in the book, but up until now, it's just a contemporary novel with snippets of the book that the main character in the book is writing, and that happens to be sci-fi. So yeah, I find it boring, to be totally honest. I think it's a cool topic, but I just don't care. And that sounds mean, and I mean it, and I don't mean it mean. Like, I really love the way that the African culture is integrated in the book, and how you can really feel that it's inspired by that. I really, really like that. I just would have wished for this to be much more of a sci-fi novel, because this is just a contemporary novel. The most sci-fi thing in here, up to the point that I've read, are self-driving cars, which we also have, so I wouldn't count that as sci-fi, to be totally honest. And our main character now, she's like, her book has like gone through the roof. Like, everybody pays her so much attention, and everybody loves her now, and it's really getting to her head. I personally also don't particularly love the main character-wise, which I think I talked to you yesterday as well. So yeah, that doesn't help, because, and we also already know that she is dying at some point in the book. So yeah, it's pretty much a book about her life. And then we have interviews with like her family members in there, and snippets of the book. And I don't really see any sci-fi so far in here. I would have loved the book that she wrote in the book as the book and not this. But that is a personal preference. Even if there is sci-fi in here later on, I have to say I'm kind of disappointed that this is the first book they went with for the sci-fi only book box, because I personally think that it's much more contemporary than sci-fi, and that is not what I would have expected out of the book box, and I'm a little bit disappointed because of that. It is by no means a bad book. I think I have to say that it's just not a book I personally enjoy the way that it is written and where the focus is, especially in the beginning of the book. I mean, we have now that our main character has gotten an email from a professor at a university that do exoskeletons, so she will probably get one of those, and it will go, from there somehow, which I will find out, But I mean, is it a sci-fi? I looked it up, and on Goodreads it's marked at with sci-fi, and on Amazon I couldn't really find where it's put. But yeah, I don't know. I personally don't feel like this is a sci-fi novel. at least until now. And I feel like, is it fair to say it's a sci-fi novel if the sci-fi starts halfway through the book? Like, I just realized, I think, that I much more prefer a sci-fi novel that is set in the future and has something to do with space travel. I think that is what I personally prefer in a sci-fi novel, and this is not it. So yeah, for me it's a pretty boring book, to be honest. I'm at page 130 now. I'm a little bit slower than I would have thought when it comes to the reading, so it will take me a little bit longer to get through it, but I will definitely get through it because I do want to know at what point the sci-fi part of the story starts, or if the only sci-fi part of the story is the book she written in the book. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not excited about the book. That is where we're at, to be honest. Okay, I just finished filming Thursday's video, and I thought I'd just end the vlog here and keep sitting here. I'm really sorry, I don't like this book. I finished it this morning. I kind of, was in the either I finish it now in one sitting or I will DNF it kind of thing. And it is not like it's a bad book. I personally just don't think it's a sci-fi book. And that is a bit of a problem. If I would have seen this book on a shelf and I would have read the blurb, I would not have picked this book up. And I think that is the biggest thing. And I can't really complain about it because obviously it came in a book box, and that is the gamble you take when you get these boxes. But the thing is, I got a specifically sci-fi box. And this book does have sci-fi elements, but the main story is not a sci-fi story, in my opinion. So for me, this is like 3/4 contemporary fiction, like literary fiction, and 1/4 sci-fi, and that is just not enough for me. And that, yeah, this is just not a book I would pick up. The focus is on the main character, her life, her family, which she has pretty shitty family, and her relationships, what she does with her life when fame comes, what she does with the fame, and she kind of becomes kind of self-centered with, I mean, up to a point it's fine, do what you want to do, but yeah, then there's also like a pregnancy in there that I kind of felt was weird, if you know the character. Yeah, it's just, the book is about the character. It felt a little bit to me like the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I bought that book because I thought, everybody liked it, so I should look into it. I couldn't get through that. This is a little bit like that, where the main story is just, the focus is just not on the sci-fi. We have these little snippets of the sci-fi book she wrote in the book, which, to be honest, the book gets like so much praise in the book, and the snippets we get aren't really that, they feel a little bit underdeveloped and a little bit rushed, which makes sense because she's telling the second story in like little snippets that she doesn't have all that much space for. So obviously it's a rushed story what we get in these sci-fi book snippets, but I feel like that doesn't make the book really sci-fi because that's not the focus of the book. That is a book in the book. And yeah, the focus is just not on the sci-fi aspects. And so yeah, I would have never chosen to get this book. And I don't actually think that it should have been in the sci-fi box, at least not as the first book for the box. I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a fail because it is not a complete sci-fi book. And obviously everybody looks at that different, so I don't want to be mean. If you like the book, I'm really happy for you. It's just, for me, it is much more of a contemporary fiction, and I just do not enjoy contemporary fiction. I have a lot of problems with that. I do love a good adventure story, but like your typical standard contemporary fiction where the focus is on a character and the main focus is on like family connections and relationship with other people and stuff like that. I don't enjoy that. Don't ask me why. I have no explanation why I don't like it. I just don't like it. I could never get into it, and I haven't really read a book that I really loved about that. Give me like a crime in there, make it a thriller, then I'm really happy with that. But yeah, this was just not the book for me, and I'm really sorry about that. I feel really mean saying that. So I haven't decided yet. I think I'm gonna give it 2 stars, which feels mean because obviously I shouldn't have picked the book up, but I got it in a book box and so I read it, and I personally feel like I loved the aspects that came from like her being African American and her culture and stuff. I would have loved to be that a little bit more of a focus but mostly what we get of her culture is food, and then this one fabric that she loves to wear. And then I feel like it was supposed to be like, oh, her family acts has something to do with her culture, but I feel like they were just a shitty family, and you can find those in every culture. So I don't know if that was supposed to like factor into that. And then obviously I did like that she was a disabled main character, but at some points I felt like, I mean, that might sound mean as well, but I feel like she sometimes she's just not a nice person. Let's just say it like it is. I don't feel like she's a nice person. I feel like she's a pretty rude person. And I mean, maybe the book wanted to get away from this like image of like disabled people having to be super, super nice and friendly because everybody else is already shitty to them. Maybe that is what the author wanted to do. I have no idea. But for me, it kind of felt hard to feel for her at points because of how she behaved towards other people. I mean, people were shitty to her as well, but like she was also shitty to a lot of people. So I don't know. I don't like the main character as well. You know, it's not sci-fi in my opinion. I don't like the main character. The family was shitty. There was too much focus on that stuff, and yeah, I'm really sorry. I finished it. That is what counts at this point. But yeah, it was kind of a disappointing start for the sci-fi box. So I hope the next one that we get in 3 months will be better. If they are all following this trend, I will probably get rid of the box pretty soon. I just had hopes that it would be like the Evernight, and the Evernight was really, really good so far, so I'm a little bit disappointed, but everybody has different opinions, and my opinion is just not what fit for the book, you know. But yeah, that is the ending of the vlog. I'm really sorry. I don't want to sound mean. I think the book, for a lot of people, that will be a really, really good book, just not for me. And so yeah, I will end the vlog here. I will enjoy the rest of my Saturday, and then tomorrow is just an editing day, and I will see you back on Monday with the next vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.